Good evening, everyone. It's 6:45 and it's Wednesday night, and next lesson is due to go up to follow tomorrow morning. So I just thought I'd reply to some of the remarks that you've made. First of all, thank you everyone who made a contribution this week. Very good indeed. Glad to see it. And basically it broke down into a couple of different headings. I'm going to keep looking at my notes here because I've made notes on the stuff that you said. Chest pain nurse. Interesting to see from Tyneside there the role of chest pain nurse is all bundled up with a load of other roles, and you mentioned preparing patients for angiography and for perfusion scans. I'm not sure I know from you yet whether or not you do routinely PCI, percutaneous interventions, poking the clot with a stick, as I like to call it. And you don't see palliative care much in the coronary care units up there. It's strange, isn't it? It is strange, maybe that's because coronary care units are regarded as places where you go to have something done, and really, if you're dying, then you'd be more likely to go to an ordinary cardiology ward. And true enough, you make the point pretty clear there that patients do get seen by the palliative care crew as soon as they go to the normal cardiology wards. Palliative care. I run a heart failure module online as well, and palliative care for heart failure patients is, I would say, probably the most popular of the essays that people write. And I was wondering if that popularity had begun to spread backwards, if you like, from the cardiology wards into the coronary care unit. But I can quite understand why it isn't. Incidentally, Tyneside, you didn't say anything about percutaneous angioplasty. So I wonder if you do use it, if this has become primary therapy, what that's actually done to your coronary care units. Because my impression is in the local area that the coronary care unit staff that I speak to feel rather under pressure now, and are left with a long-term query over what their role is actually going to be in the future. And it does beg the question, doesn't it? When I went to France 2 years ago, they didn't have any such thing as a coronary care unit. They had a normal cardiology ward, and they had the angio labs, and the nurses who worked on the cardiology wards hadn't seen thrombolysis used forever. Thrombolysis was seen as a technique to be used in the ambulance when the person's being transported from the country, and I wonder how long it is before that's going to be the situation in the UK too. Certainly it's the case here in Liverpool and Manchester now. It's been like that for some time, and while I can still see a role for a chest pain nurse, thrombolysis nurses surely consigned to history. It would be hard to make a business case for employing a fresh one, wouldn't it? For the rest, I was very interested to see the definition of Levine sign. Well, Levine sign. I mean, it is an incredibly interesting gesture that people make, isn't it? The fact that I'm going to do it a little higher than what a person might do, and this is weird as well, because it crosses over. This is my right hand. I know it looks like that, but I feel as though I'm controlling the opposite side of my body. Anyway, that's nothing to do with it. When people start to do that, and complain about chest pain, that tells you something about the pain underneath, doesn't it? It says it's not very local. If they were describing the pain with a pointed finger like that, that's where I've got the pain, then that would tell you something pretty serious about the quality of the pain, that it was stabbing, that it was local, that it was intense. Whereas this tells you that it's more diffuse, it's more crushing, it's spreading. I mean, I always say that you could probably diagnose what the problem was going on with a person if they was doing all this sort of stuff, even if you didn't understand their language. You know, the sign itself is so descriptive of what's going on underneath. The delayers, yeah, we're back to the delayers. And I was very curious to see, Tyneside, that you couldn't open the paper, and I sent it to you by separate cover, and I wonder if you've had a chance to take a look at it since, because it is a really, really interesting paper, I think, you know, and it's the sort of paper that I think qualitative research is really designed for, because it really teases out some of the nutty issues and why people show up late to accidents and emergency departments with chest pain. I hope that you were all suitably impressed by chest pain nurse Simon Thornton. Simon's now moved on to a heart failure role. Yeah, so I rather suspect that I'll see him back again. But Simon has a very subtle view of chest pain, and as you know, he is the sort of person that I would wish to be looked after if I showed up at the hospital, because he a very human scale, and I love his take on pain. That no matter if the pain is at the tip of the person's right, tell him that this is what the pain felt like last time they had an MI, then that's more or less a clincher. That patient gets one of the rare beds. Carolyn, over here in this side of the country, I liked what you said about patients who deny pain. Yeah, obviously, and it isn't just the diabetics, and it isn't just the elderly who don't feel pain. You look at some people and you think that they've invested rather heavily in the psychological defense mechanism called denial. You know, you've all had that experience, I take it, when you walk on the unit in the morning, and you ask how the patient is, and they say, "Yeah, sound. Yeah, I'm sound." And you know that they're not. You know, really, that you don't need 3 years nurse training to know that they are very far from sound. And apparently, it's the case. I don't know whether Jowett and Thompson mentioned this in their book, but apparently it's the case that at post-mortems, it's not at all a unusual finding that a person might end up with undigested rennies in their stomach. You know, that they've attempted to treat this chest pain themselves with a couple of rennies, girl. Get us a couple of rennies. And they've died on the way to hospital. The rennies not quite having worked well. Why would they? And of course, in the paper, what they argue in the paper is it's when self-help and self-treatment really fails, that half hour, 1 hour, that really people start to think about going into hospital and getting proper help. But then the thing is that as you grow older, heartburn is a much more commonly reported symptom anyway. I mean, I sleep with extra pillows these days because it's so often the case that I wake up in the middle of the night with what I describe as heartburn, for which the uncharitable witches in the coronary care unit that I most associate with very readily say to me, "Are you sure it's not nocturnal angina?" Well, I'm not 100% sure, but no, it's not. It's not. The response to Gaviscon too well to be angina. But at my age, you've got to take account of the possibility. So, well done, everyone. Those of you who haven't contributed to the discussion as yet, shame on you. It's not entirely obligatory, but, you know, it's part of the course. I will see you next week, and I will look forward to your correspondence. Arrivederci.